Welcome to Two Queens and Crystal Things, the podcast where we are on some manifest your life, shift your mind, and raise the consciousness type of shit. I am Mia.
And I'm Christie.
And you can consider us your spiritual girlfriends for the next hour. Hey, and whatever that takes you in your mind, that's between you and you.
That's none of our business.
That's none of our business.
So I want to welcome you all to episode 5. So last week, goodness, there was so much to talk about as far as relationships are concerned. So last week's episode was divided into 2 parts. And we talked about healing from relationships. We talked about forgiveness. And I think it's safe to say, I don't know about getting vulnerable. We did keep it raw and we kept it honest.
Yeah. Ooh, baby, I like it raw. If you know what that song is, you were grown up.
Yeah, baby, I like it raw. But we also talked about self-betrayal in relationships, and I think that's an important piece. We talked about toxic relationships, we talked about sex, and we talked about how some relationships can be the impetus for your spiritual awakening and journey.
So today,
man,
because we got into it a little bit with ourselves, okay? So today we talking about a spiritual awakening. That can mean a whole lot of stuff. But we're going to go to the expert Deepak Chopra and use, for the purposes of our conversation, and use his definition. He said, awakening happens when you are no longer living in a dream world where you filter everything through your ego and focusing on the future and the past. Instead, you have an almost simultaneous awareness of your individual self and your connection between that and everything else in the world. So, I cannot, another way to say this, also known as shit gets real fucking real.
Man, it gets real.
And you see yourself in a whole different way. You're just like, what the fuck is going on?
I know. So it's hard. Honestly, it's hard to define what a spiritual awakening is. So how would you define it?
I like the idea of looking at it as like you becoming aware. Like I think it's more just an awareness that I am something that I'm not tapping into, that there's something going on. Like I feel like there's something that I'm doing that I'm not supposed to be doing, or there's something that I'm missing. It's kind of like, you know how if you say you get a paper cut but you don't see it at first because you're going through it, then all of a sudden, like, you go wash your hands, you feel it, and then now it hurts like hell because you're aware of it. I think the awakening is like you just became aware, like something's not right and I need to figure out what it is.
Yeah. See, I have the hardest time trying to define what a spiritual awakening is. But for me, I mean, just to piggyback off of what Mia said, it is an awakening. You do become aware, but it's almost, it's like everything you thought was true as far as who you believed you were and who you thought the world was, who you thought the world is around you. All of that
part.
All of that changes, and you realize that there's really no separation. And even like the people that you are around, like you see people and you're like, wow, we are just pieces of each other creating this larger picture or puzzle. I mean, it's really complex. It really is complex. So I know a lot of people want to know, so how do I know when I'm going through a spiritual awakening? And I will say that everyone's awakening is different. It's not going to be the same. Just like everyone's relationship with the divine or with God or with the universe is going to be different. It's going to be different for everyone. But, there are kind of some basic telltale signs. And again, I think you also have to kind of do the work to figure out whether you're in that space or not. But these are some signs that you kind of are shifting and awakening. And again, I just want to make sure that you all are aware it's not going to be the same.
Well, it's look. Right now we're going to give you basically kind of the WebMD version of how you look up something and like,
Right.
do I have cancer? Here
Right.
are all the symptoms. So this is just some things that you could be experiencing,
Spiritual MD.
and I think that some of these people, some people these things will resonate with them. Like, oh my God, that happens to me all the time. Or some people would be like, nah, that maybe this isn't it. So this is not a comprehensive list, but this is just stuff that we've noticed and experienced and share with other people.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So during my process, so number one is observing your patterns. And for me, when I was going through my spiritual awakening, I started noticing things about myself. And I noticed how often and how freely and how I just compromised myself. I would compromise to try to appease other people. And I would sit back like, why are you doing this? Like, why do you feel like you have to appease them? Or why do you feel like you have to compromise? That was definitely something that I noticed. What about you?
I'm about to say, I think that wasn't in my awakening. That was after the awakening where I started noticing how much I was compromising myself. Mine just came a little, again,
That
it's
too,
different.
right.
So it was after I'm like, okay, I'm in the
still
work.
compromising.
Right.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Like, I'm in the work now, and that's when I was like, I started noticing, like, I am really out here just a whole side, putting myself on 50% off. Okay.
50% off. I'm discounted.
I'm over here BOGOing myself.
$3.99.
What the fuck?
And you realize you are so much more. That's another thing too. Okay.
I would say, but one is feeling a connection to oneness.
Yeah.
Starting to feel a sense that, okay, hey, like what did you say the other day? Oh, I get it. I get it now.
Oh my gosh.
But feeling a sense like, damn, we truly are all connected. Mm-hmm. And starting to feel that connection and it kind of messes with you a little bit because you start thinking about the things that you don't like about the universe or people, and you're just like, wait a minute, so what does that mean? That's when you start asking those deep questions. So wait a minute, so if we're all connected and then you have these terrible, horrible, dark people, what does that mean about me? Does that mean that's like, okay, wait, hold on, everybody pause. Let me clear my plate. I need to think. What you think?
Yeah. No, that's so true. I think for me, I just started to have this sense of connection with people. Like, oh my gosh, like we're kindred spirits and we're all like, me being a little crazy. And I am over here drinking wine too, so you'll have to forgive me. But,
I'm having purified water.
Lies.
That happens to look like wine.
Look, there is nothing purified about that water.
My intentions for intake is pure. Excuse thou.
So letting go of attachment is another thing, and how you define yourself. Like, and this is just really basic, but cars and making good grades and having all the money that you need. And
your titles.
Right, titles. And we talked about you can still be spiritual and like nice things. Look, we like nice things.
Yes, Mama does.
We like very nice things. And honestly, as we are having this human existence, we should have nice things. We should be able to enjoy them.
Absolutely.
All right, what say you? What do you say?
Let's go. Feeling a sense of chaos followed by inner peace. It's almost like understanding, acknowledging that there is some freaking chaos going on gives you a sense of peace because you're like, oh shit, I see it now. So and I know that sounds crazy. It's just like, what? But there's a part of you that's like, okay, we are identifying this now. Okay, now we can work on it. So I think getting to a place where you're able to feel peace by yourself is a good indicator, or the desire for peace. Because you got to think about it. You have to have a certain level of awareness to be like, damn, all I want is peace. And you think about that, that's something that the old people used to say. The grandmas would be like, baby, I just, like, girl, what you want for Christmas? Peace. Like, and you know, as a kid, that sounds so...
You're so old. That's not fun.
But when you get some experiences and some wisdom behind you, asking for peace is like, whew.
Yeah.
That is a gift.
No, that is.
So having the desire for inner peace, like, I think that's an indicator that you got some wisdom on you and something's going on.
And it's funny. So I don't think I had like one period in my life where I had a spiritual awakening. I think it kind of happened gradually. But more recently, like last year, it felt like just shit was falling apart. Everything was crumbling. I mean, it's like, you know, when you go to the dentist and they're like, oh, well, we found this and we found this. Oh, and by the way, that tooth in the back, that needs to go and we need to, you know.
And I think, and honestly, I think that that's one of the great indicators that you're having a spiritual awakening is, okay, you know how it is in life. Shit is up and down. So say at one point in your life, relationships are up and positive, your career is awesome and great, but your familial relationships are shit. But you know what I mean? So there's always something that's like, you sometimes be like, man, can I just get everything on the same level? You know, everybody cooking with gas at the same time?
No.
When you're having a spiritual awakening, everything is shit. You're like, but I mean, like damn, even my plants are dying.
Right, everything, and the floor falls out, like everything. And
because what that does is it's almost like spirit needs to make you uncomfortable for you to get to the point and ask, what the fuck?
Right.
And they're like, okay, now we got your attention. What the fuck? Yep. Finally. And sometimes, again, it doesn't happen like that for everybody, but sometimes, you know, we can be spiritually hard-headed.
Oh, that's me all the time.
You know, they're trying to get our attention. It's time for the next movement. It's time for your next wave. It's time for your next level of initiation and ascension. If we're not paying attention and we're not tapped in, they're going to keep trying to get our attention because that's what we put in place. So when the bottom falls out, that's for our spiritually hard-headed people.
Yep, and that is me. And
that
so, like,
would be Mia.
And Christy.
Definitely spiritually hard-headed.
So also, like, as far as like getting attention, like I would hear certain things, like I would hear someone talking to me, but I thought it was just me talking in my head. And I thought I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm going crazy or I'm hearing stuff. But this is part of, you know, the next piece, which is increasing your intuition. And for me, that represents just getting downloads from the divine or from spirit. And it might be something as simple as you're driving down the street and it's like, okay, turn right. And it's like, I'm not going to turn right. I always turn left. It's like, no, turn right. And then you go ahead and turn right. And then you realize when you turn left that you just missed this horrible car accident. Something like that. Like I would hear things and I was like, whatever, and just ignore it.
It's almost like I will say I haven't ever had a conversation with any woman and we're talking about their spiritual awakening. There's a consistency that you feel crazy.
Oh yes.
There's a point where you're just like, oh, okay, no, for real. And that's where the fear comes in, where we're not talking to each other, where you're not looking for a community, where you're not looking for people to speak to about this, which is why we have this.
Right, exactly.
Because you literally are like, I'm losing my shit. Okay, I'm not losing. And you're like, okay, all right, man, we're gonna get up. And what is your name? And what do you do? Okay, you got that, okay. And then because what's happening is your highest self and your spiritual guides, and we'll talk more about spiritual guides, but let's just say, for the purposes of the conversation, let's say your highest self and the universe is trying to get your attention. So the way that we perceive voice and beings is based on, you know, what we know. So they'll show us something comfortable. So oftentimes when we are getting messages from the divine, it's our voice, if it's comfortable. It could be like your mom's voice. It could be a voice where you're just like, is Grammy talking to me? Like, she's always preaching. Like, pay attention to, that's just something for you because they know that you'll recognize it, right? So the thought is that we're all connected to ourselves. So when we hear ourselves, that we listen to it. But sometimes we don't listen to it. Mm-hmm. So when you start hearing yourself talk to yourself more, as I air quote, that could be a sign that you're having a spiritual awakening.
Yep.
You are not crazy, and there are people who have been convinced that they are crazy and literally commit themselves because you start to question everything. And sometimes what happens is, if we are the type of people who kind of like say what we want, and and have no problem speaking it out loud, then somebody will say, hey, what's going on? And you might start saying something like, do you know we're all gods? And they'll be like, oh, hell. Christy, here we go. Okay, poo-poo. I see you doing good.
Right.
Okay, so we were talking about ways you know that you are going through an awakening. So next one is synchronicities, seeing things over and over again. And I know a lot of people see numbers in
I've been seeing
particular.
angel numbers all week.
Oh my goodness. 1111,
222,
222, 333, 444, 555, 666, all those. Any number that you're seeing, seriously, when you're like, seriously, how do I keep seeing 111? Like, for real. It's for a reason. Don't discount that. It's like when you start noticing patterns, or you keep seeing the same word over and over and over again, or something like that. It's like you're starting, like it's like the universe is trying to talk to you and get your attention, so it's going to show you things like that. So patterns, like dominant colors coming in, and honestly, there's so many places, on the internet where you can Google and say, hey, spiritual angel number 222. Put it in Google, and like a lot of things will come up, and you will probably see like, oh shoot, this is what's going on with me.
Yeah.
So that's another way. What's another thing that you experienced when you realized you were having your spiritual awakening?
I would say increasing compassion, and I think I remember. Actually, I think I called you. Because I remember I was driving, heading to Lakeshore Drive, for those of you who live in Chicago. Hey.
Hi.
I was... that sounded so miserable.
Hey.
But there was this woman who crossed in front of my car, and I just automatically picked up like what she was going through and the emotions that she was carrying, and I just started to cry. Mm-hmm. And I think I mentioned it to you.
I do remember this.
I mentioned it to me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I just felt everything she was feeling," and I started to cry.
And see, and this is another reason why, honestly, for real, that it's so beautiful that we designed. We did not design it for us to go through this journey by ourselves. Mm-hmm. So people come into your life for a reason, and seasons. There's always something to be learned. So there's no accident or haphazard or deja vu. Like, people are in your life for a reason. But this is why we have to start talking about what's happening when people go through this. Mm-hmm. So saying that, and it's like, oh, okay, well, let's talk about, clearly you're an empath and you're able to feel other people's feelings. Now we need to really talk about how to protect yourself.
Right.
But if I hadn't been in a place where I'd been through that, I wouldn't have been able to tell you, like, girl, you got to protect yourself from that. And how do you protect yourself and shield from that? That's why you need to look out for a community, and people need to be honest about what's going on. So that's why we always going to be very honest about what it is that we've experienced, and talking to other sisters going through this and having gone through it and where they are in their journey. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and that's why I asked you to be my spiritual coach.
Don't.
I need help. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go.
And you guys, you would think that people have it, like, seriously, just think about this. People having an awakening and ascension and understanding of who they are, you would think that would be like learning arithmetic, 2 plus 2, and that you can find resources everywhere to understand what this is. It's like you literally are finding yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not. But that's because I'm not even about to get into my theories as to why people don't want you to know who you are. All I'm saying is don't give your power of creation away. Okay. Now, another way that you can recognize that you're having a moment, an awakening, is
moment.
starting to understand that your soul lives forever, and that's honestly who you are, that you are truly a spiritual being having a human experience, which removes the fear of death. Because you're like, I don't die, I ascend, I evolve, and I manifest into something else. So that's not starting to get to the point where the death doesn't create a fear in you like it used to. And again, oftentimes when you're sharing this, as you're going through this with friends, you're like, Mom, I'm not afraid of dying. And they look at you like, okay, first of all, sit your ass down. Because people will interpret that based on where they are.
Right.
So we should make sure that we're gentle with ourselves and be aware of if someone can't understand what you're saying or be able to translate what you're going through or relate to it. That doesn't mean that something's wrong with you or that something's wrong with them. It's just that that's just where they are at that point.
Yeah, that's so true.
So what about do you remember feeling like I'm just not afraid of dying anymore?
Yeah, so once I kind of understood, so again, once I was going through this particular phase more recently of my spiritual awakening, there were a lot of beliefs that I had to let go. Mainly, you only have one life, and once you die, that's it. Then your spirit goes to heaven, and there's no more. But then once I started to really understand and do a lot of research, I realized that the spirit continues to live. You're just, your spirit gets reborn, I'll just use that term, into a human body each lifetime, whatever that lifetime is. And so then I got to a point where it's like, I'm honestly not afraid to die. I think if anything, of course, my kids, I don't want them to be sad, but no, I'm not afraid to die. Not at all.
And I think, like, when people first hear that, I know it's somebody out here listening that can relate to this. We think that means you have a I don't give a fuck attitude about life. And that's not necessarily what that means.
Not true.
And I think it's actually the opposite. It's like, I value this life so much that I'm going to live it to the fullest because I understand how temporary it is, and I understand that I'm a creator. I can make this shit whatever I want it to be, and so I'm going to appreciate it. But no, I'm not afraid to die because that is inevitable. It is inevitable that will happen. That in this body it will end.
Yeah.
So because you know that it's going to end, that should give you power and strength in knowing to live it
To your fullest.
To your fullest, because you know it's going to end.
And a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't live life to the fullest, and they don't really think of what could happen if tomorrow they were to die, and everything is so serious, and everything is so That's my pirate sound.
Why did you just make me think about Dave Chappelle in his latest stand-up comedy where he was talking about the Care Bears? He was talking about how in the cartoon the Care Bears, when it was time for them to get rid of evil, he said they would lock down and squeeze it and get real determined, like he said, and love would literally shine from their fucking bellies. I used to love the Care Bears. I'm not going. OMG, I love the Care Bears. Woo.
Well, just call me Care Bear.
I love her. I'm determined. I'm spilling love out of me.
I'm shining love your way.
You're gonna
the salad. Like, okay, I'm so hungry, and I'm over here eating the salad, and she's trying to kill me.
I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh, I think I just got you.
This is, you know, I'm funny in all dimensions.
Inside joke. But no, she is funny in all dimensions. I'm just, that's a whole nother conversation, but it's so true. Okay.
All right. Whew. We're back.
Oh my gosh, my stomach. All right, so increasing authenticity. I realized, you know, as I was going through my divorce, that I had stopped living the life of Christie. I was living someone else's life. I had no idea who that person was. And I got to a point where I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I need to start living my authentic self.
And this is honestly relationships. When we ask people like, okay, why'd your relationship break up? You know, it's like, oh, it might have been a financial thing, or there was some infidelity, deception. I don't know. But I think that what all of that comes down to, anytime a relationship is it good? Because, baby, when I say she is over here killing the salad, okay, sorry. But I think what all that boils down to is people aren't able to be their authentic selves in a relationship. So when you're acting in any aspect of yourself, you know that you're going to be authentic someplace.
Right.
So it allows you to do other things that you may not do. So that's why I think it's so important for people in a relationship. If you aren't being who you fully are, you are literally lying to yourself and them. So you might as well be fully who you are, because, you know, when there's a connection and people love each other, you're just going to accept them. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, oh, that's okay. I get that. I love you. I see you for the fullness of you.
Right. No matter
just
what.
allow people the opportunity to see the fullness of you are, so that they can choose. Mm-hmm. When we start tricking people into, you know, I'm a Care Bear, but you know, I'm the Sunshine Care Bear.
I'm so happy you did not do that this weekend. I would have peed my pants.
And then we got a stinger on our ass. Like, you know, hey, I'm gonna care about you, but I might be, you know, I'm gonna fix your wounds, but it might be a wound I gave you. We gotta be honest about who we are.
Yes, you gotta be honest.
And I'm gonna say another thing is like your desires change.
They do.
So I was reminded of this today. I was in a reading that I did this. It's like things that were important to you, or you know, that you saw as a way of that you identified with, is okay. I'm growing. I'm succeeding. I'm like, don't mean as much to you anymore. Like the success you want is like, okay, I want some inner peace. I'm telling you, that's when that grown woman should start kicking it. Like, what do you want? Peace. Fucking peace. Like, just peace.
I mean, good sex too.
Well, I mean, that precedes peace. It calms you and just. So you gotta let that out. I'm just saying. But you know, so your desire changes in how you see yourself and how you identify with yourself. You start asking yourself, and I think last week our temple work was, we're saying, how would you describe yourself without, is that an additional or, how you would describe yourself without saying, like, what you did for a living, where you lived, like, whether or not you were male or female. Like, how would you literally describe yourself as a being to somebody?
Yeah.
And that's, you know, a little bit more difficult when you think about that. So when you're going through, sometimes when people are going through a spiritual awakening, they start to question all those institutions and foundations of how they describe themselves and defined who they were.
Yeah,
so it's like, you know, I am a senior vice president of this company and I do this and then it's like, okay, when you start having a spiritual awakening, you said, and Okay, so now, so that literally is that what my legacy is? My title at this job? What in the purity hell am I doing here? That is when you start to, again, it's the awareness that there's something, the purity hell is going on around here. I swear, I remember just thinking, and this still comes up for me, I'm like, what if we're just all, you know, some other planet Sims game? I'm a whole somebody's character.
That's true. We talked about that too.
So it's when you start to realize, okay, and people, you know, get made fun of for being honest with what they're experiencing, but sometimes when people are experiencing none of this shit is what I thought it was,
yeah,
and they start to express themselves, those are people that you know that some people identify as crazy or you know. So the real trick is being able to identify and acknowledge the God in you, and still live on this plane. But acknowledging the God in you helps you to find what your purpose is, because it's, you know, the divine in you always knows what it's here for and always knows what to do. So when you get to the point where you're acknowledging, like, oh shit, I'm a whole divine being. Oh shit, I'm here for a whole freaking reason. Oh, let me go figure that out. That's honestly one of the most beautiful and pivotal moments in someone's life, for just understanding that that's a thing, you know?
I never think that you're here on earth to just wake up and go to a job and survive. Like, all of us have a purpose, and I feel like everyone's purpose is just as important as the next person's.
Absolutely.
Because some people will think, oh, well, you know, no, you're not only anything. You are. I am. But I'm sorry, you guys, this salad is so good. So the last piece to how to know that you are awakening is flourish. Like, once you get to the place where I don't like saying this, but you learn that lesson, or you learn the lesson and you make it through to the other side, you start to see yourself blossom.
Ooh. You're like, oh shit.
Right. No, for real. Like, there are times where I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh my goodness. When did you come? And I just...
Where you been?
Yeah, like, where you been, girl? Hey, Bo.
Hi, Bo.
But it's special. Like, you just begin flourishing. Everything, like, things in your life begin to flourish. You start attracting people into your life who help you to flourish.
I remember when I would meditate, as this used to come up a lot. It hasn't so much now, and I don't necessarily know what that means, but I do know that when in hindsight, when I look back, when I was going through transformations, I'm going through one now, just a different one, but going through transformations and becoming just more aware and enlightened in myself, just in my world, I would see two things. It was either a baby chick in a shell trying to poke to get out. So it'd be like the shell, and the baby chick is like, you know, like it's holes in there. Like, I'm trying to, and like I would literally see like the chick just being like exhausted and tired, trying to get out of there. And then the other was, and it's so interesting to me. So I would see like dirt and you know that first little bud that pops out of, and I would be able to hear it. So I'd be sitting there, and it was just like, you're sprouting, and they were telling me like, you're sprouting, like, keep going. But you know that's the other thing about getting into awareness and understanding that there's levels to this shit. A lot of, you know, this is not an all love and light fight, right? This is a lot of the work happens in the dark. So if we look, and I'm just saying like that, it made me think about that when I said that visual that I used to have, that sprout coming out. It's like, by the time that sprout comes out of the ground, when you think about, like, for real in life, there's so much magic and beautiful shit that happened in the darkness.
Right.
That nobody sees. All we see is that sprout coming up. Like, oh, of course that's what it does. That's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah,
but we don't. You have no idea the struggle that has happened for people to get people to the point where they can sprout. So sometimes what causes a spiritual awakening is trauma.
Oh my gosh.
Woo! And I have not met a person yet, a healer. I have not met one healer who has not experienced severe trauma in their life, like dead ass. I'm not even like, I don't know not one. So sometimes, and I talked about this earlier, just in like sometimes like everything is shit. Like, relationship, career, life, your spirituality, your family, your friends. It's all terrible.
Your money is funny.
Your money is funny. You balling on a barely there budget. Like shit just like goes from sugar to shit. It's like sugar to shit real fast. So and oftentimes it's trauma, so that could be, the loss of a loved one. Unfortunately, that oftentimes is what kicks off people's spiritual awakenings, because again, it's about the awareness and you starting to ask the question. So when women sometimes they lose babies, we lose family members, parents, and then and I think about this. I know everyone can relate to either saying or hearing somebody say, like, I just don't understand what type of God would it be that will allow that to happen. Like, this person was a good person. Like, why would I lose my baby? I'm a good person. And so sometimes that trauma gets you to a point where you're starting to question, like, okay, what is this God thing? Like, how would you allow that to happen? Then you just start questioning it every institution, because you're sitting there and and because the way that our world works, everyone's afraid of being sued. So you're looking for answers everywhere. So you're talking to your doctors like, now explain this to me. And they can only say so much because they don't want to be sued. And so you can't go any place for answers. And that's when you're having that awakening. You're like, oh, so I got to for real go in and say, what in the hell is going on? Explain this to me. And then that's when people start playing the guy like, yo, homeboy. So, break this down to me. And that oftentimes starts your own journey. And people start getting into different ideologies and different, religions, and kind of start just going down to see what...
You start searching.
People start seeking. Let me tell you something. There is so much power in the awareness, and then you put some action to it and start seeking. God will always meet you. He'll meet you right at the door. Like, oh, you just, come on, let's do this.
I've been waiting for you.
I've been waiting. I think for me personally, I would say that trauma helped me to understand who I was, because it helped me to understand my resilience. It helped me to understand. Like, I would just be waking up like, oh shit, I'm still here. Right. Like, y'all whole want me still here. Like, this is okay. So it must be for something, because who lives after that? So I think that for me, trauma helped to kickstart a spiritual, several spiritual awakenings for me. I say this in jest, but honestly, it might be true. I think I might have been one of the spiritually hard-headed. So for Chrissy, for you, I know you said you're spiritually hard-headed, but do you think that trauma was one of the impetus for you? Was an impetus for you to start your spiritual awakening?
Oh, absolutely, yes. And I would say this again. I don't think I had just one one phase of spiritual awakening. I think throughout my life it happened in pieces. But I would say the straw that broke the camel's back is my second marriage coming to an end, and realizing that I just couldn't see myself being happy in a space where I couldn't be my true self. And I was tired of compromising who I was. And I actually knew in my heart, like, this is going to be good for the both of us, because, whenever I tell people, I'm going through this divorce, people apologize. I'm like, please don't apologize. This is actually very good for both of us. But I think that kickstarted it, because I realized that I wasn't being my true self.
And so here's the thing. We hear these terms a lot, like, you know, being my true self, standing in your power, like, and I think that when you start searching and you start seeking, you're like, what the fuck does that mean? And so I'm gonna give you a quick way to be authentic to yourself, or to at least have the conversation with yourself in every moment when you're questioning, like, wait a minute, am I doing the authentic thing, or do I have the mask on? When you are in whatever situation, you're trying to figure out if you're being authentic to yourself, just stop for 1 second. And when you think about what it is that you're doing, if it literally feels good, you're not questioning,
right.
You don't feel shame or guilt, or you're having to talk yourself into an action or a decision, that's when you know you're being in your authentic self. Even if whatever that is going to piss off every other person and where you are. If it feels like, but this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and sometimes it's hard to make that decision, but at least start to acknowledge that it's there, because it's always there.
It is always there.
We always freaking know when we about to do some bullshit. We know, but we can justify it. But see, I didn't start this though. See, he started it, so now I'm gonna finish it. Like we always know. We always have a freaking choice, you guys. So that's one way. Like, how does it feel if you having to convince yourself that's not your authentic self?
No.
So just allowing yourself to be like, oh shoot, I know sometimes it's scary. Do the shit anyway. Just be like, okay, I am the only person that's gonna say this. Everybody else thinks this is a good idea. I don't want to participate, so okay, push your big girl panties on. No. Oh wait, that felt good. No. Hey, no.
She's taking the break.
Okay, sorry.
So can you have more than one spiritual awakening? I mean, I guess I kind of
I think like, you know, there's levels to this.
There are levels to this shit.
Or, you know, waves. Cause I don't want to say levels, because I think that gives the indication it's like, you know, there's like, you know, like this, like higher. It's just where you are. It's just your waves. It's up and down and around and swirl and, you know.
True. It is the truth. So I know that so I've run into some people, and I'm not going to say any names, but I was asked, well, you know, hey, how can I open up my third eye? Or, hey, how can I? And there's not always, right. And there's not always a concrete answer. But as far as like people who may be wondering or thinking, how can I assist in my spiritual awakening, there are a few things. Mia, you may have some additional ones, but meditation helps. Honestly, that is the thing that really helped me. Helped me get to know me. Meditation allowed me to get through the layers, deal with the shit that I didn't want to deal with.
I'm gonna be honest with you. For me, meditation was a little bit. It took me much longer to grasp. I was a little bit further past the awakening moment before I was able to grasp the meditation thing, because I used to think that, you know, I had this image of, you know, I'm sitting there and my mind is fully clear and I am pristine, and, you know, I'm sitting in the lotus position and I'm umming, and I couldn't grasp that as I was going through this, because I didn't feel that pure, that clear. So it took me a while to get there. Now I know, though, that that's not necessarily, it's not this pureness or this clearness. It's just allowing yourself to quiet and hear everything that's coming in. But I didn't know that at the time.
Yep.
So, honestly, it was talking out loud. But what I'm learning is that was my form of meditation. Saying it out loud for myself, or start writing it down, like, you know, we talk about this. I write everything down, so that was my form of getting it out. So because then it gave me an opportunity to be able to process it, so I can go back and look, and I'm like, oh, that's what that means. But sometimes when you're in the thick of it, you can't see it. So meditation, I think, honestly, is just a practice of being able to speak to yourself. So my meditation early on was writing. Getting it all out, and that was my form of meditation. I just didn't know that at the time.
Some other things that will kind of assist in the spiritual awakening, and I don't know if you believe this, but spending time outside. I mean, I honestly think that
nature. Damn well, I believe that.
Like, honestly, I do believe like being nature, like being in nature and being connected to nature. It just, it's different. It's different now. Like, I think you just have a different level of appreciation.
Oh my goodness!
But again, it goes back to like the whole.
Look at all this whole life,
right? And then you can also laugh. Like, I'm always laughing. I do silly things so I can laugh, and I do silly things to make other people laugh because I think laughing is healing, and it's, just opens you up to a different vibration too.
And think about it. Seriously, I think a lot of the things that I would judge myself for, I have like this guilt and shame. I'm able to look back and laugh my ass off like, child, you were a whole fool. But now I can laugh about it because I accept all parts of the journey.
Yeah.
I accept like that it's all for me. It all made sense. It was all part and pieces of who I am, and being able to accept that. But laughter, just because seriously, I have been like straight like in the closet crying, like looking a whole mess, and then all of a sudden it's like getting all that out. Then all of a sudden the laughter will come in like, girl, and it's a release.
Yeah.
And I like laughing. I mean,
Mia is funny. Oh
I
my gosh.
love laughing.
She is hilarious. Oh my god, she had me dying.
Look, you guys, it moves the energy around. Like going on this journey, like yes, it's scary and cold and dark, but goddamn it, this shit is fun too. Y'all get on this rainbow ride with me. I'm trying to tell y'all.
Hilarious.
We went to a spiritual retreat this past weekend, Soul Ascension spiritual retreat, and it was absolutely wonderful. And we were very fortunate that we were in a room. I'm sidetracking real fast. We're in a room with a room full of healers. So you have light workers. I mean, just all type of different healers, all women. And so as we are journeying, I saw,
oh my gosh.
You just kind of speaking out, and like you guys, this was definitely.
We're not the same.
We're not.
We're not.
I'm just gonna say that, and I think that being open to feeling whatever everybody needed to feel. I think all the women that came there were very vulnerable. Like, whatever I need at this time, I'm open to that, and whatever we need to do as a collective, I'm open to that. We were able to come together as a collective for the healing of one particular sister. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And then we were also able to have our own journey in healing and see kind of where we, everybody was, was able to be met where they were. But apparently, so at one point during this time, Chrissy looks over at me and she was like, so you funny in every dimension. She said, no, she said, you even funny on this side.
It is so true. Oh my gosh.
And so the women were telling me that they're like, oh my, like seriously, Mia, like I'm just a joyful ass fucking shit. Like what?
She had me dying. Oh my gosh. Now I feel like a big marshmallow. Oh my
gosh. Yeah. Hey, I was trying to tell them to get like me. I'm like, hey, y'all need to get on this ride with me. It's free. Admission is free. Come join me. Hey. I'm just saying.
So after laughing, is dancing. And for those of you who follow me on my personal Instagram page, I'm always dancing. I'm always doing something. It's just
body movement. Again, another way to move the energy around. Yeah. That's the thing. She's a reformed professional dancer. Professional dancer.
Retired.
Reformed ones are
retired.
Not that I would know anything about that. That's just what I heard on the street. So yes, dancing, just again, a way to move the energy around. And honestly, it's about finding some place where you feel good and free.
Yes.
So for people, it's, some people it's being outside alone. Some people it's meditating. Some people it's dancing. Yeah. Like what is that? And Christy's favorite thing, she likes to say, have an attitude of gratitude.
Oh, yes.
And honestly, you guys, having gratitude for where you are currently does so freaking much of releasing a different type of energy instead of thinking about what you don't have.
Right.
If you think about what you do have, that attitude of gratitude is a real fucking thing.
Right. Because you might, I mean, no one's life is perfect, you know, at that particular moment. But then once you start appreciating what you have, even the stuff that you may lack, then it's like, okay, now you can be trusted with more. So you can be trusted with more, and then you start appreciating that, and you have gratitude around that, then you can be trusted with more. Just, there are days where I wake up and I'm like, wow, thank you for the life that I have. Like, I'm just so, and even like the people that are in it, I'm very, very picky with the people that I allow in my circle. And I've said that to a couple people this week, or several times this week, but it's just important to appreciate where you are, what you have. It's just.
And honestly, I think here's the dope thing. Seriously, when you are coming into awareness, put like this: if you start to think, "Am I having a spiritual awakening?" The answer is yes. Yep. So when you are coming into a spiritual awakening or going through a spiritual awakening, start to really listen to yourself, because you intuitively know what you need. Like, seriously, it would be times I would be going through it so much, just trying to figure out what in the hell is going on in my body, and I'd be like saying out loud, like, what the fuck am I supposed to do right now? And my body would tell me, go take a shower, or go take a bath, go sit down, go sit. Like, you need to just scream it out. Whatever it is that I needed, my body would tell me. And the thing is, where we stifle ourselves is when we don't freaking listen.
Yeah.
You know, every time. Go have sex. Go run in the rain. Whatever it is, listen to your freaking self, because you know what you need.
Yeah.
And sometimes, y'all... And I don't know if we said this before, but I think it's important to be honest with the fact that a spiritual awakening has waves. It is joyful and painful. Joy
and pain.
Keep
Hey,
it going,
what up? What up?
Sunshine.
What else? What else?
And rain.
Keep it up. Keep it up.
Joy.
What else? What else?
And pain.
Hey.
Sunshine. And rain. Get to Robbie's. I'm a new kid. Okay, sorry. I can't help it, y'all. It just came out. Okay, so it's painful. And so, but we just talked about like trauma, just in terms of how trauma can turn something on. And if you think about it, necessity is the mother of invention. If you take that to a spiritual realm, sometimes you gotta hurt in order to figure out what you need to grow and flourish. If you're comfortable and everything is okay, you're not going to stretch yourself because there's no freaking reason to. Man, I read this quote. I want to say it's Buddha,
dropping gems,
but it's not mine. But I want to say it's Buddha. It's something like, in order for a tree to grow to the heights of heaven, its roots must go as deep as hell. So it's almost like the higher that you're trying to ascend, sometimes the lower and the darker you got to get up there. And that's some real shit, y'all. And if you really truly think about a tree, the tallest trees, how deep their roots are, how low they have to go, and how much in the darkness they have to go for that magic to happen. Today? You know, just a little diamond for the people.
She is hilarious, you guys.
So, Miss Christie, I know you say you've been through more than one awakening. So, how would you describe the awakening? I think a lot of people think that the awakening means, okay, I'm awoke now. That's the end. Whew.
Oh no.
Thank you. That's over.
I mean, think about personal development. It's something that you're always doing. It's the same thing.
Yes.
Spiritual development.
Yes.
You know, you are constantly developing yourself, growing yourself, evolving yourself, stretching yourself. And I mean, like Mia said, it goes in waves. So sometimes you'll go through a part where you're going through a spiritual awakening. Sometimes it's going to be a long spiritual awakening. Sometimes it's just going to be a day or something where you just have a really, really crappy day.
And I think what happens is, and again, I always like to say the awareness, because it's just different levels of awareness.
Yeah.
So your behavior changes based on, what level or where you are in your awareness of what's going on in your life, what's going on with the collective, your role in this time and this space, and your role in the ascension of the raising the consciousness of humanity. So as you become more aware of things, your actions change.
Yeah.
The point is to be open to it, to understand like that. I think that original spiritual awakening is, oh shit, I'm a whole spiritual being. Mm-hmm. Wait, what am I here for? What's this about?
Not to listen to you jabber and talk about nothing.
Right, exactly. Seriously. No. And I think a lot of people will question whether or not, when they're going through this, should they share? What do you think?
You have to be careful, I think, who you share it with. And, of course, we talked about living your authentic self and, stepping into your power. But I think you also have to function with some wisdom and know who you can talk to and who you can't.
Function with some wisdom. Bitch, that's a word.
Well, no, it's true. Like, you'll tell some people, oh, my gosh, did you hear? Mia's worshiping the devil. She's wearing all black today. You see that crystal?
Please stop.
She has her tarot cards on her. We need to pray before she comes into our house. No, you really have to be careful with who you talk to. And so if you have a friend that won't judge you, won't look at you side eye, will just be like, okay, look, tell me what's going on. If you have that person, by all means, tell them. You know what? I think, honestly, about telling people, I think we should check our intention of why we're telling somebody. That's true.
Well, and come on. Now, everybody knows somebody, or is that somebody who is, as you're experiencing a spiritual awakening, sometimes we can get a little full of ourselves, and we feel the need to...
I fasted for 10 days.
I am the purest bitch of all. Did you know I'm vegan now? And so sometimes we're telling people because we want to feel some level of ascension, and if we're not feeling it, we feel like we got to be powerful over people, right? Like, so let me tell you how I'm so much better. Like, whew, okay, that makes me feel better. So I think you need to check your intentions. But if you're telling somebody something because you feel like me sharing my experience will help them with their experience and their journey, which is why I think we share our experience.
Yeah, that's why I share.
Because I'm like, oh no, people need to. We need to talk about this.
Yeah,
this is a thing.
And a lot of people want to talk about it.
And a lot of people want to talk about it. So I think it depends. Check your intentions. So managing your emotions.
Oh my gosh, meditation
during that time.
Meditation. Mia knows, like, oh my gosh. I thought at one point I was like, okay, like, I'm just going crazy and I'm just going to be, cuckoo and broke. Okay. Meditation really helped.
Really?
Yeah.
So think of emotions, and again, not mine, energy and motion. I thought that was so dope when I saw it, because I'm like, that is literally when you're expressing emotions or feeling emotions, it's just your energy in motion. And where is it going? It depends on, what you're experiencing at that time. So when we're, I think, I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's the awareness of, I am feeling something. Mm-hmm. So let me allow myself to feel that and understand. This is where people... And I'm just gonna keep it 100 with y'all. This is what people got me fucked up. Whatever it is that you are experiencing, whatever energy and motion you are having, it is not your job to make me feel what you feeling.
Right.
Feel your feels. Give me space and opportunity to feel my feels. And where we feel the need to connect those feels, we would do that. But sometimes when we're going through something, especially if we're reliving some hurt or clearing away some pain, sometimes we get to the point where we feel like, oh no, they need to know. Like, nope, This is your journey. you have to take that, accept that, love that, and heal that and move forward. Even if you give it to somebody else to heal for you, once you acknowledge it, it's still not the same. You have to heal that for yourself. And a lot of times when people are dealing with healers, what we're doing is we're just opening up space for you to do that. Because sometimes we're so tight and closed in, that's like, you know that you can do it, you know that you have to. And so what healers do is we just say, let me clear this energy, now go ahead and heal. You know what I mean? And we can help you move energy, but at the end of the day, we all know what we need.
Yeah. We do know what we need. So how did you manage your emotions? I will say, let me quickly say, I didn't tell anybody what I was going through because I honestly had no idea what I was going through.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know how to translate this shit.
I was like, I had no idea. And so, since I knew Mia was in this realm, I said, okay, well, look, can you be my spiritual coach? Look, I don't care what you have to say. You're going to be my spiritual coach.
She is cuckoo.
And you're going to be my friend.
And you're going to like it. Isn't that life, how wonderful life is? I would tell you, for me, so I'm not, you know how some people feel very comfortable, I call it living out loud. I'm not. It was very like bullshit, you not, like, my family don't even know I have a podcast. I don't know how to be verbose and going through that. So the way that I would manage my emotions, I had to go to the dark. But I've always been that. Even as a kid, like, it was like I have to go someplace and hide and and allow myself to get it out. I'm an isolator. When I have to go in deep, it is not for television. It is not to be televised. It is not for anybody else, because I know that in order for me to feel vulnerable and free to do whatever it is I need to do to clear and heal myself, I need to feel vulnerable and free without somebody feel like, are you okay? What can I do?
Yeah,
like, oh my God, what the fuck? Girl, so I can't tell you how many trips to the closet I have. The upper room to my closet. Just like... And I have a daughter, and and sometimes it would feel so overwhelming, like, oh my God, the top of my skull is going to pop off and fly off up to the moon. So just going there and allowing yourself to just, whatever it is you need to get it out, so then you could, okay, how long have I been in here? All right, now what?
Right.
So, but I have to get to the now what. How about you? How did you manage your emotions besides meditation? Because, girl, I couldn't even get to the meditation. I'm gonna keep it real. I couldn't even get there. I could not.
Well, working with you helped, because I would ask you questions and she would, pull cards for me, or she would do a reading for me, and I would get a little bit of insight, which would give me a little bit more hope that I just didn't have, or kind of just fuel me for a couple more miles. Meditation, talking to you, getting readings, and journaling. I'm not a consistent journaler, but the journaling helped a lot, because I was able to, and it wasn't even me journaling my thoughts, it was my spirit guides just kind of sharing with me, and then me going back and reading and saying, okay, this is not me.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you, seriously, for real, journaling has done so much for me, and I'm such a big proponent of it, and it's honestly because when we are having, like, I'm talking about the moment when you feel like, why am I doing this? Like, for real, like, this makes no sense. Or when you're super joyous, even at the extremes, just whatever it is that comes out of you, just put it down. It's not like there's no format to this. If I showed you showed some of my journals, I think it's all type of books in my journals, but like, it sometimes it's drawing, it's pictures, it's numbers, it's whatever the hell is coming out of me at that time. But I need to get it out. And so when I'm in a different space and I go back and I read that with a different perspective, I'm trying to tell you, there is not one time where I have not blown my own mind, like, oh. And that's just further confirmation that we always know what we need.
Yeah, we always do.
We always do. We just have to trust ourselves.
Ooh, that's a word.
We got to trust. Turn.
So let's talk about this last one, dealing with the dark stuff.
So, okay. Now, I will say this. We just had this spiritual retreat. Before this weekend, I would have answered this differently.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest.
This is so funny.
You know, we're talking about this journey and how there's different levels of awareness and awakening. I had another awakening. I used to judge like the light and the dark, bad and good, and all this, and evil and God, all of these things. And I would tell you for certain what I have learned is that it all comes from the same place. Mm-hmm. So dealing with the dark stuff, I don't even see it like that anymore. And now I'm looking at it as just dealing with all this stuff because it's all of you. I know for a fucking fact that every last being has light and dark in them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the message for Collective today that I had. I did a little channel message for the Collective today, and that we'll share at the end. But so I don't even see like that. No, now I just see that I'm just dealing with all pieces of me. Mm-hmm. And why would I not deal with all pieces of me? Like, I have no more fear of what dealing with the dark stuff. But I will tell you, when I looked at it as good and bad and dark and stuff, the biggest thing for me to get over that hurdle was acknowledging that darkness is in me too. Mm-hmm. Acknowledging that, guess what, bitch? You might be the villain in somebody else's story.
Right.
Guess what, bitch? You wasn't all the way right. And you like, wait a minute.
I've been perfect.
What are we talking about? No. And that, I think, that was the hardest part. The acknowledgement of, like, you just, baby, you just not over here clean, sorry. You not squeaky like
My
that.
bad.
So, and dealing with that. But now, like I said, just very new, because we evolve, we always change. It's just an acceptance of every piece of who I am.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that.
Like, dealing with the dark stuff, when you were kind of first going through, how did you deal?
Well, like you always say, or like you said over the weekend, feel the feels.
Feel the feels.
And I allowed myself to feel the feels. Mm-hmm, and I mean, sometimes it felt like I was on the verge of falling off a cliff to death.
Yes.
But I was like, you know what? I have to let this out, because I felt like if I didn't let it out, I would go crazy. And there were times, I'm an isolator too, so I wouldn't tell people. I would just be in my room and drinking wine and just crying. You know, the ugly cry with your faces.
You know where you catch your breath for me?
Yes, that type of cry. And then your child is on the other side of the door, like, "Mommy, are you okay?"
Yes.
Knowing you were inside, just
oh my god,
you were like hanging yourself.
I feel seen. I feel exposed. Oh,
but girl. Just honestly feeling the feels and understanding that I'm human, and for whatever reason, I just need to go through this season. There were days where it was painful. I didn't even know who I was some days. Just like, all I could just feel was just pain.
And that's the thing. One of the other things I think we could have mentioned about when you were experiencing a spiritual awakening is the what do you call it? The back and forth of emotion, the mood swings. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, literally, you guys, for real. And this is going to be somebody, whoever needs to, I don't know who this is for, but this is for somebody. You wake up, you're having a great day, everything's good, you're productive, you're moving around, you're humming, you're walking on sunshine. You sit down, have a coffee, everything's cool, and all of a fucking sudden, the storm cloud comes in, and you don't want to do a motherfucking thing. You are lethargic, you can't move, you just want to lay down, you're tired, you can't figure out what is it, what's going on here, I don't understand why. And then you start uncontrollably crying, and then you're over that, and then everything's happy again, and you start to question yourself, like, legit, like, yo, am I bipolar? Like, this is like, I'm not even trying to be funny, y'all, because like, that's a real thing. Like, you're just like, what? And so what's happening is, remember, we talked about spirit having to make you feel uncomfortable so you will seek out how to get to center. So it's like, let me show you the extremes of where you are. Your extremes are too extreme. We want to center you. So let me just show you the extremes. You like, wait, I'm not ready. But sometimes you just got to be uncomfortable to get to that point. And again, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I have not encountered one person who has talked about their spiritual awakening that has not talked about it being some very pivotal and painful moments in their life where it was just like, what in the entire hell is going on? Like, this hurts so bad.
At one
now,
point,
I'm sure there are people who, just walk into the light and glory and love and light and bubbles and shit all the time.
Me.
Congratulations to you, but that was not my experience.
At one point, I felt like it was in a room with 4 walls, and the walls just started closing in, getting closer and getting closer and getting closer and getting closer and getting closer. Like, at one point, I just felt like the entire room was collapsing, and it's like you're suffocating, but then you know that the walls can only go so far, but just that feeling of
and it's
gosh.
like intense pressure. You can feel it,
it's
like
pressure.
it's sitting on you.
Yes.
The pressure is, and it's real. It's not like, even though these visuals that you're having at Red don't seem real, the feelings that you are feeling are very real.
Yes. I think working out helped a lot too. Just getting, oh my gosh, dealing with all that stuff. So let me ask you, Mia, do you think we kind of talked about that, whether the spiritual awakening ever ends? It never ends.
No, I think, I would say this. This is just my opinion. I think the first awakening, especially as an adult in your adult years, because I think as children we are often exposed to the spiritual side and the gifts because we're so much more open and vulnerable to it because we're connected to our godliness as children. But I would say that first kind of awakening or awareness as an adult is very memorable. But then after that, I don't think it ever stops. This is not, I hate to use a sports analogy, but, this is not like a race where you say there's a finish line. Like, it's a 200-meter dash, go. This is not like that. This is more of, the marathon where you're able to 111.
111.
Okay, we've been talking for 1 hour and 11 minutes, and that just made me very happy. That was dope. Okay. We are, what am I talking about?
I forgot.
It's not, there's not an end to this.
Yeah.
There's just continuation of levels, and the more that you get into who you are and what your gift is, your ascension is higher because you're bringing up more people with you. So I don't think it ever ends. It just evolves.
Yeah,
It just evolves.
I definitely agree.
So if we had to give our people a little something to walk away with, what would you say?
Well, I have 3 little points. 1, everyone is different. So don't compare your spiritual awakening to anyone else's. Everyone has their own journey, their own purpose. Just stay in your lane. 2, look for signs. A lot of times when spirit, God, the universe, whomever you want to call it, or your angels or your guides are wanting to get in communication with you, but you're too distracted, you'll start seeing signs. You'll see some signs. And then 3, to trust yourself. Just like we had talked about, we thought we were going crazy. Just trust and know that what you're thinking is not you being crazy. Like, trust it. If you need to sit down and journal or write things out, do it. But trust yourself. And a lot of times you'll find that your intuition is correct.
I would say, I think that overall change is oftentimes difficult for people. My biggest takeaway, I'm gonna piggyback on everything that you said because that, like, it's so real that honestly, that's exactly what it is. And the only thing that I would add is once you are seeing something is going on, allow yourself to go on that journey. Don't look at it as like, oh shit, this is going to be painful, or this is going to hurt. Get excited, because it's like the possibilities of who you are opening up. It's like, you know, it's like
That's
seeing
so
a
true.
flower come up, and then all of a sudden, like my favorite flowers are peonies, because I call them the exploding flower, because like when you look at them, the bud is so tight and small, and when that thing blossoms, it's like 2 handfuls big, and where did all these petals come from, and where did the scent come from? So it's like when you're accepting that journey, you're being like that. It's like you're just exploding with the everything that you are. And so just allow yourself to be it, and know that everything that you are is beautiful and perfect. It never comes out another way when you want to be in the fullness of yourself, because the fullness of who you are, regardless of who you are, where you are in your life right now, and what you're choosing, the fullness of yourself is love, period, point blank. So allow yourself to feel that.
Feel the feels.
Feel the feels. So we're gonna go into our temple work real fast.
I'm so excited. What's the temple work?
So I hadn't thought of it before, but as we were talking, you know, sometimes this happens. So as we were talking, I was thinking about, I want people to create their morning mantras for themselves, the morning affirmation for yourself. But this mantra is specifically about accepting who you are. So I want you to think about and write in your journals something where you are. What do you need to hear for yourself about who you are, and say and speak to yourself? Like, it could be something, you know, I am a evolving being, and I am accepting all piece and parts of myself, because I know that they are from a place of love. Whatever that is that you need to remind yourself of who you are as you're going through this, because sometimes we need to say something like, okay, let me remind myself why I'm going through this. I am a divine being, and I am learning and leaning into who I am on a soul level. That's another affirmation. Like, whatever it is that you need, I want you to write that for yourself, but sit down and think about it. Just allow yourself to get quiet. Dare I say meditate, but just allow yourself to get quiet. Take some deep breaths. I like to do breathe in 4, hold 4, release for 4, right? 3 times. And then just allow yourself to just write it. There is power in free, in this free writing and divinely guided writing. So allow yourself to just see what comes up. Because, I mean, guys, there's no wrong answers to this. There's no wrong answers to this. That's why I think we really wanted to iterate that everybody's journey is different.
Did you see that little video of the little girl? She looked at herself in the mirror. I guess she just got her hair done. She said, "I'm gorgeous."
Yes,
I'm gorgeous.
I'm gorgeous. I love that.
So you guys gotta say the same to you. I'm gorgeous.
I'm gorgeous. I'm perfect.
Hey.
Okay.
All right.
I want to know what the crystal today is. Come on.
Today's featured crystal.
Wait, I think I'm like the sound machine. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I heard a whole little beat.
For me, is the sound effects. So today's featured crystal is apophyllite, APOPHYLLITE, and it's actually one of my favorite. Oh, it's one of my favorite crystals. I feel like I say that about all of them.
You do?
I love apophyllite. Oh my gosh, it's so.
What color is apophyllite?
It's white. It's like a milky white.
Really?
I meant to bring it from down upstairs. Okay, so apophyllite is a hydrated potassium calcium silicate mineral, and it's a tetragonal crystal system, hardness of 5. We've been talking about the most hardness. And most commonly, it's like a colorless white or gray, and it often appears in a cube or like a pyramid type shape. And it's so cool because it grows like this naturally. This is the thing that fascinates me about crystals. They grow the way that they do naturally.
Wait, so is that what she showed us, or was that something else this weekend?
No, it was something
That was
else.
okay because it kind of grew. Whatever that stone was, it kind of grew in the shape of pyramids. That was kind of dope. Okay, sorry, continue.
No, but I love apophyllite. So spiritual properties, it helps to bring high vibrations of light that are known to soothe feelings of anxiety, fear, and worry. This powerful but gentle healing crystal is a must-have because it helps to calm an anxious mind in times of stress. So also the funny thing is, like, during my spiritual awakening, I got apophyllite. Like, I wanted to get something that would help me.
Really?
Yes, that helped.
Interesting.
Because the stress, I mean, I had no idea that I wanted it, or why I wanted it. But working with the crystal, it helps to absorb negative thought patterns, apophyllite rocks when it comes to sorting out problems in a more productive way. And so, have you worked with apophyllite before?
So honestly, no, I haven't.
Oh,
I've heard you talk about it before. You guys, there's so many beautiful crystals, and the different energies that they emit are just absolutely wonderful. But I've heard you speak about it, and there's somebody else that I heard speak about apophyllite, and I just haven't.
I love it.
Well, you know how I am. I like to, when I buy crystals, I like to touch. Like I need to touch to know. So I just haven't been in front of some apophyllite to touch them.
Yeah.
I'd be molesting crystals.
But you can't help it. They're so beautiful.
You just gotta feel the energy.
So you guys already know how I meditate with crystals. So I would put the apophyllite in my left hand and meditate. And something that I learned in my crystal healing course is that you can, when you meditate with this crystal, and it's so freaking cool. You can meditate with this crystal, and one of the things that you can do is like envision yourself inside the crystal, and there's like a crystal guide that will show you around the crystal. It's so cool. And it's like apophyllite, and I think, is it Lemurian that does that? That has like little guides with it. It's so cool. Like there are these, you can meditate and go in the crystals, and it's whatever. It's
okay, that's dope. That's
very
super dope.
But with apophyllite, you can, make sure that you breathe in the purest white light, feel the energy of the stone in your hands, and as I mentioned, meditate with it. And make sure that you have a specific intention that you want to bring to it, like maybe healing past wounds, releasing negative thought patterns, or like, protecting yourself from harmful energy. But apophyllite will hold the intention until you're ready to use it. So apophyllite is just an amazing crystal. It's gentle. There are some crystals that aren't so gentle.
That's true. That's true.
Moldavite is kind of like,
interesting. But you gotta show me a apophyllite before I leave.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. So yeah, that is the crystal for the day.
So we are. Oh, I swear we try to keep these to an hour. So
No, we don't.
this morning or this afternoon, I was trying to figure out. Like I did a little meditation for the group. So I wrote this down. And it says, "This is a message to remind you that you are a sovereign being." Okay. I called in one of my guides, which is Metatron, and I think we will talk about at some point, like tools and guides that you have to help you along on your spiritual journey. But so let me just say this. This is for the group. So he says, "It feels like a long time coming, but it's really not. Time as we know it is shifting, or at least our perception of time is shifting. Honor the space that you are in because it shows you your progress. Remember, you govern where you govern where you focus. So whatever you focus on, you bring to you. Do not be fooled or be focused on going into the darkness to seek understanding, because sometimes we'll just say, well, I want to understand all sides, so let me go explore the dark side. So they're saying, don't be curious about the darkness, because the way is the way is the truth in the light. But understand, because I'm never going to tell you to ignore the darkness, but understand that darkness and light exists within all of us. It is simply a choice. Yeah. So it's not saying, hey, let me go see what the dark is. It's like, let me explore every piece of me and understand that all comes from the same place. Just like we are all connected as one, so are those energy levels, okay? And it's simply just your choice, you guys. That's the beautiful thing about the journey. It's free will. So as you explore your free will, we ask that you remember to allow space for others' free will. And understand that as you go on your journey and as you are growing and evolving, give people space for who may not be where you are yet. That does not mean that they are beneath, behind, or late. Everybody's journey is perfect and right on time. Okay? So know this wisdom in every moment for yourself. Explore, start looking at things that you look at as a bad experience or something you regret, looking at it like, but what did I get from that? Right. I guarantee you there is not one experience you have where you have not learned something about yourself or humanity or the collective. And then you have power. Don't forget, you have power to choose what you create and who you are. So the big message here is do not give away your power for creation. When we give away our power to create and manifest the lives that we desire, that's why it makes it so easy for us to go to the dark side, because we're looking for, this is like the Jedi, because we're looking for our power back. And so when we give up our power to create and we wait for other entities or beings to create for us, the opposite of that creation is destruction. We go into destruction. So we want to destruct other people's creation. We want to destroy our own selves, because we forgot what it felt like. So destruction sometimes will feel like creation because we've given that power away. And that's
my gosh, that's
not be fooled.
I can barely
I know it's a word. And again, I have to get this is again downloads from Metatron. And so it is. That's for you guys. So take some time to process and everything.
Wow. I mean, outside of the fact that the wine is kicked in and Mia's over here preaching a whole word from Metatron, I'm like, my brain is on fire.
Fire.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's the end of today's podcast. We're right under 1:30.
All right, we did it.
I don't know. You think we can do an hour? But as always, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can y'all pray that I'll make it to the gym tomorrow at 5 a.m.?
We're going to go to the gym. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to Two Queens and Crystal Things. Shout out to all the men that are listening out there.
I appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
Let me tell you something. Sis appreciates the man.
We're joking. Before we go, please show us some love by liking, subscribing, and sharing our podcast. And also be sure to follow our podcast page on Instagram, which is Two Queens Crystal Things. And please feel free to ask us questions on here. If we get enough responses, we might be sure to include them in our next episode's discussion.
And let me say, follow us individually. We have at Christie R. Edwards. If you want to learn more about her crystal healings that she does, which, by the way, I need an appointment.
I got you.
I'm still processing.
I got you, boo. I know.
Okay,
I am
so
too.
I'm like, and there's some energy stuck at the bottom of my root that needs to go up. So we need to get some energy flowing.
I got you.
So at Christie R. Edwards, and then you can follow me at Wings.
Wait, I got it, because I always forget.
Okay.
I pulled it up this time. It's Wings Unleashed 444, and we talked about angel numbers 444. That's one of those numbers. Wings Unleashed. That's one word. Wings, WINGS. Unleashed, UNLEASHED 444.
For Akashic record readings. And I'm a spiritual and empowerment coach, you guys. So, I'm looking forward to talk to you. And as always, if you guys have questions, I'm doing free consultations for people now. So if you guys have questions or something that you want us to talk about, we are always open. This is about us sharing our journey and hoping that there are people out there who can relate and connect. Because at the end of the day, we say this at the beginning of every podcast, this is about raising the consciousness of everybody, shifting your mind and helping people manifest your life. Like, in real life, that's seriously why we're doing this.
Exactly.
And it's fun at the same time. But honestly, this is mission work, okay? So we love y'all.
What's happening next week?
Okay, so next week we are going to talk about, I always said this earlier, just like guides. I see it. We're talking about ascended masters, your angels, your guides, and how it is that you connect to these beings to help you on your journey. It is what it is.
It is what it is. And if you guys have any questions for us to answer for the next show, you can send them to info@twocreensandcrystalthings.com. Until next time, beautiful people.
Light, peace, love, and soul. Good night, guys. Have a nice day.
Good night. Yay.